Hey everybody, and today welcome back. So, with the new 10th edition going on, we're going to paint a good old Tyranid. For this, we're going to paint a Tyranid warrior in the color scheme of Hive Fleet Leviathan. So, if I know you see me paint Tyranids a little bit before, but don't worry, we're going to do how to do warriors right now. So, for this, let me just get my first paint ready. Here it is. First, we're going to base coat the exoskeleton. First, we're going to use a base coat of Rakarth flesh. So, shake up your paints, like so. Oh, and I got new brushes, by the way. These work pretty good. Oh, never mind. It just dried up. Sorry. We're going to use Wraithbone. We're going to use Wraithbone. Wraithbone. Sorry about that. So, let's get started. So, shall we? Take Wraithbone. It may be a little goopy, but don't worry. Just thin it down a little bit. That's all. Always get a good amount because this is a rather larger miniature. So, thin down the paint a little bit, as always. There we go. So, let's start base coating, shall we? So, should I grab a bigger brush? Yeah, I think I should. Just a second, boy. Just a second. And this is a perfect example of always use the correct size brushes. So, for this, we're going to take a flat brush. So, take this. We're going to base coat all over the exoskeleton, not the carapace. Not the carapace, but don't worry. If you do get it on the carapace, don't worry. Oh, and if you're wondering, I did prime it. I primed it in gray because it's a nice neutral tone for Tyranids, which is really perfect. But of course, you can use Chaos Black or Corax White if you wish. And this may take a little bit, so don't worry. Also, you can base coat the whole miniature in Wraithbone. The whole miniature. Yeah, I might need a bigger brush. Bear with me for a second, please. I'm just making sure I clean off my brushes and use the proper ones. Just a second. There we go. Alright, dry off my newer brushes because I don't want them to get ruined already. Alright, let's use a bigger brush. So, let me make sure I get the right one. Here it is. We're going to use this larger brush. So, get some more Wraithbone. Set it down. And don't worry if you get on the carapace or the weapons. Don't worry. We're all going to base coat them with different colors. Also, don't forget the dreidel, the toxin sacs, and the little flesh tubes right here on the weapons, such as this death spitter. And make sure to base coat every little bit of the exoskeleton, because if you don't, it will look really bad. Well, not bad, but weird. Also, hope you guys enjoyed the 4th yesterday. I posted a little short video of the fireworks where I live. That go on where I live, so I really hope you enjoyed that. Happy 4th. So, for the new 10th edition, the Tyranids are looking strong because I got my first hand to play them. With the psychic phase done, now Tyranids are actually are actually able to be played against now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm cool with the psychic phase. They're just really powerful in psychic, even better than Chaos or the Grey Knights. A little more Wraithbone. Oh, and this model of Tyranid Warrior is the 9th edition version. The 8th edition or 8th edition Warriors are a little smaller than this. I'll show you a comparison maybe in another video. Also, base coat all the weapons, the Death Spitter and the Bone Swords. And if you have a Lash Whip, but if you have a Bone Sword and Lash Whip, don't worry, you can just paint that differently. Alright, that's the exoskeleton bait. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry, just a second. Alright, there we go. That's the base coat with Wraithbone done. So, while the Wraithbone is on there drying, we're going to base coat another part. For this, we're going to use one of the most characteristic parts of the miniature, the carapace. So for Hive Fleet Leviathan carapace, we're going to use Naggaroth Knight. Reason being we're using Naggaroth Knight is because that is the purple color used for the Hive Fleet Leviathan. Let me just dry off my brush real quick. Okay, now, for this, I'm going to switch to my smaller flat brush. So, shake up your paint. There we go, perfect. Alright, let me just make sure I got it open properly. There we go. Alright, so, take some Naggaroth Knight. You may need a good portion of this because the carapace is rather large. Thin down the paints a little bit, like usual. Just a smidge of water. There we go, perfect. So, what we're going to do is this. So, we're going to start base coating the carapace. So for this part, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the back, tail, legs, head. So we're going to start off with the head. So for right here, just be careful. Do not hit any of the exoskeleton. Don't worry if you do. You can just tidy it up with Wraithbone after. Front of the head, like so. Base coat back of the head underneath. Always remember that part. Now we're going to start on the back. And speaking of Hive Fleet Leviathan, when the new contrast paints came out like a couple months ago, they named one Leviathan Purple. So if you want to use that on your Tyranids, you'd be more than likely to. Go right ahead. I mean, slight shoulder pad like armor. There we go. Don't worry, I'll get this spot later. All right, now rest of the carapace. For here, we're going to go onto the tail, like so, right here. Last parts of carapace are on the legs and on the death spitter. I'll show you where to go. See, for on the legs, you can see a little bit, but I can more see because I'm seeing it. I'm painting it, so don't worry. Oh, and also, if you get any purple on anywhere else, don't worry. You just tidy it up later. So let me just thin down this water a little bit. That paint is getting a little lumpy. There we go. Perfect. Alright, and the last part of the carapace is actually on the weapon. I'll show you where. It's just these three segments right here on top of the death spitter. Alright, there we go. That's the carapace base coat for right now. We'll need to do another base coat, but don't worry, we'll fix that. So let's reapply some of the areas we're going to use Wraithbone again. So we're basically going to tidy it up where we hit the purple on the exoskeleton. By accident, not on purpose. So what we're going to do is this. Take some... Oh, just a second. Make sure you always get all paint off your brushes. Perfect. Okay, now, more Wraithbone. So what we're going to do is start base coating it gently. See how there's smudge marks right here? Just go gently and it'll cover it up. Let me get this one glob of paint off. Perfect. I'm just base coating off camera to get to some bits. Alright, there we go. That's the Wraith Bone reapplied. Oh, hold on. Just a second. Darn thing. Alright, there we go. Now, with the exoskeleton now drying with more Wraith Bone, now we're going to apply something else. Oh. And also make sure to apply more Wraith Bone to the weapons. I almost forgot. So the bone swords. And the death spitter. Okay. Now, while the exoskeleton is drying with the reapplication of Wraith Bone, now we're going to reapply one more time more Nagaroth Knight. So, reason being is so we have a nice solid base coat. So, let's see. Nagaroth Knight. Put it here on the brush, and just base coat the carapace again. Now I'm just going to show you how to do it up to battle ready standard. I'll do parade ready eventually. All right, now with the carapace now reapplied, now we're going to focus on something else. We're going to focus on the weapons of the Tyranid warrior. For this, we're going to use a contrast paint. So for this, let me make sure I have the right one. Where to go? Ah, here it is. We're going to use Flesh Tearers Red. So if you don't have Flesh Tearers Red, you could of course use Corn Red. But I'm using Flesh Tearers Red just to get it nice and quick. Alright, there we go. Nice and shaken up. So, open our pot. Keep it like this. Okay. So, I'm going to switch to a different brush. I'm going to use my medium shade brush from Citadel. So, what we're going to do, take Flesh Tearers Red, and base coat it all over the weapons. So for this, I'll do the Death Spitter first. You have to be very careful with the Death Spitter. Right here on the flat parts. There we go. Little fang right there. And all over the weapon. And be careful where you get on the weapon. You don't want to hit the exoskeleton. Alright, there we go. That's the Death Spitter done, and now we're going to do some of the other parts. The bone swords, and the hooves. I'll show you where in a minute. And one thing cool about the Tyranids, I will say, all the weapons are actually part of them. See, they're actually attached to their arms, like these bone swords. Alright, last part we're going to do with the red is going to paint the hooks and the hooves. So on the hooks, around the back of the feet specifically, right here. And right here on the hooves, right here. Alright, there we go. That's the red done. Alright, well, while the red is drying, we're now going to apply our other color. So, for this, while the exoskeleton color is dry, we're now going to apply a wash to it. Let me just make sure I close this real quick. We're going to apply a wash all over the miniature. We're going to use something, So, let me make sure I got it right. Here it is. We're going to use Caribird Crimson. This is the new Caribird Crimson, so if you have the new one, that'll do. Alright, with the shade now washed, shaken up, what we're going to do is this. So, take the Caribird Crimson, we're only going to put this on the exoskeleton. So for right here, all over. And you may be wondering why we're doing this, but that's the proper way how to do it, because the Hive Fleet Leviathan like exoskeleton on those Tyranids have a slight pinkish hue to it. Slight pinkish color. So yes, this is perfect. Make sure you get it all over. But not on the carapace or the swords. Also, for the flat part, like the tail, you have to be a little you have to be a little bit just like this. One smooth motion. There we go. Also on the side part of the legs, never forget that. Under part right here. Rest of the arm. Let me get more. Reach a little deep for this one. Okay, now right here. And finally the head. Also, for today's on the video on the comment section for this one, I really want you to put me a favor. Who do you think would win in 10th edition in the battle? The Ultramarines or the Tyranids? Let me know in the comments below, please. So, now with the shade done, now we're going to apply another shade while we wait. So for the carapace, we're going to use Druki Eye Violet. So this is the new Druki Eye Violet. So if you have the old one, don't worry, that will work as well. Alright, perfect. So now, what we're going to do is this. Take the Druki Eye Violet, and then we're going to we're going to shade all over the miniature. The carapace, specifically. I'm sorry about if I said all over. Legs. All over where there's carapace, shade all over it. Including this one on top of the gut, on top of the Death Spitter. And especially on the head. There we go. Alright, so that's the carapace shaded. Now, believe it or not, our carapace crimson is actually done, so now we're going to start highlighting. For this, we're going to use a dry brush. If you don't know what dry brush is, it's where you wipe most of the paint off. So, let me make sure I get the proper brush. We're going to highlight with Wraithbone. So, what we're going to do is shake up the paint. So, what we're going to do is this. We're going to take a little bit of paint for dry brush. Perfect, lots of paint. Well, you don't need too much, but you know, I just like to grab this amount. And then you wipe most of it on your paper towel, like this. So, what we're going to do is going to highlight all over the exoskeleton. So, watch this. So, we're going to do this. Just like this, all over the miniature. Especially around the tail. And if it's you can make this as white or as pink as you want. I just like to have it a little pinkish. Because Hive Fleet Leviathan, again, just has like a nice pinkish hue to it. To their exoskeleton. Let me get some more, let me dry brush some more paint. We'll set it off. Okay, perfect. So, underside of this, and the other side of the chest. And especially the head. And if you get on other parts of the miniature, don't worry, you can just repaint it later. Alright, I got the pinkish done. Yeah, so yeah, you can just do it like that. But also, I prefer just to have it a little pinkish. Alright, now, with the exoskeleton now finally done, now we're gonna apply on the we're gonna focus on the fleshy tubes. So by tubes, I basically just mean the tubes that are on the miniature. So for right here, we have one on the death spitter and a couple of on the leg. So for this, I'm gonna use another contrast paint. We're gonna use this. We're gonna use Gilliman Flesh. So, check out the paints. Alright, there we go. Now, we're going to switch to our medium shade brush again, this one. And what we're going to do is take some contrast paint, like so, and just put it on the fleshy tubes of the miniature, so right here. And look everywhere for fleshy tubes, like this part of the miniature right here. Alright, that's all the fleshy tubes done. Alright, oh, sorry about that. Now, I'm going to reapply the Naggaroth Knight because I got a little on the carapace. Sorry about that. And this is a perfect example that you can just fix your mistakes. More Naggaroth Knight. Sorry if I bumped the camera. So, take a little old brush. Just apply a little bit. Alright, there we go. Now, we're going to do this. Just reapply where I got it on the carapace. That's all. Perfect. Alright, getting it done. Alright, so that is the Tyranid warrior done. So, I really hope you enjoyed today's tutorial on Hive Fleet Leviathan and how to paint your Tyranids. Don't worry, I might do a parade ready on this eventually, but I really hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Bye-bye.